First off, as runners, I don't think most of us even carry our wallet. I know I don't, let alone going to be carrying a hunting license or a fishing license piece of paper. How much are we paying that person to stand up there and check people? How much did it cost for all the signage? I understand money needs to come from somewhere, but it sounds like there's some better ways, some better opportunities to do that.
It's Golden Hour Adventure Time, featuring everyday people doing extraordinary things. From the peaks of victory to the valleys of defeat, these are their stories. Now, from the back of the pack, your hosts, Justin and Robbie.
Welcome back to Golden Hour Adventures. Today, just got me, Robbie, running solo. Justin's hanging out with some family, doing his thing. So here we are, just you and I. Got a pretty interesting topic I want to talk about today. Might ruffle some feathers, so I'd love to hear your input on what you think we should do with the topic that I'm going to talk about. Affects everyone that runs trails in some way or another. It will. So go to our YouTube channel, give us a like and subscribe, leave a comment how you feel about this topic. Go to our Instagram, do the same, leave a comment. Want to open the discussion up? We need to have this discussion about the topic I'm going to talk about, and also leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. We'd really appreciate it. Gets us out there a little more, and all those stories of the people that we bring on when we have guests, then it also gets Justin and I out there when we just sit on here and talk and do goofy stuff. Anyways, let's get on with this topic. So my YouTube algorithm on my personal YouTube channel is quite goofy. It has all kinds of stuff. I'm really into law and rules and stuff like that set forward by our government. So I listen to a lot of different lawyers, watch a lot of lawyers, just to hear their take, watch some of the stuff that's going on in the United States with city, HOAs, you name it. And this one popped up, and the title was something or other: Utah trail runner stopped by DNR for not having a hunting or fishing license while running on the trail. I've been watching this guy for years. He usually doesn't get into this kind of stuff, and I was like, pretty interesting. So I jumped on there and started watching the video, and runner in Utah was out running the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, and he got stopped by DNR. Was asked for a hunting and fishing or a fishing license to be accessing those trails. I guess back in May, Utah slid this law into effect, I would guess, because it doesn't sound like many runners know about it. Maybe now the word's out that it's getting some attention. I saw some news stations covering it. It's kind of, got the discussion going about who manages the trails, where money should come from for managing the trails, if money should be. And this area that the runner was on is the Timpanogos WMA. It's a wildlife management area. It's, you can look on the online and see the area of this management area. And from what I get is these wildlife management areas do not get tax funding from the taxpayers or for the federal government, which I didn't look too much into that, why they don't get the funding. So here we are. They want you to have a hunting or a fishing license to access this area of the trail. And the person that got stopped, us as trail runners, depending on the run, we use a lot of different trails to access the area we want to get going to. And especially in Utah, there's lots of, I call them social trails that connect up to where you actually want to get to. Sometimes they're legit trails, sometimes there's just ones that, they were game trails that turned into trails that people used to get to where they were going because maybe there was no trail there or it's a shortcut, all different things. So this brings up the topic here is, if we need to have a hunting or fishing license to access these trails in Utah, how does that work? Uh, Hunters and fishermen are conservationists. They go into an area and they either take game or fish and they harvest it and leave with it. My thing as a trail runner is, we're out there recreating on these trails for whatever reason we do. We may take a little dirt and rock with us out in our shoes and our socks, but we're not taking anything. That being said, I understand that there needs to be money coming from somewhere. I don't know where that money should come from. Our taxes pay for a lot of stuff. When I was living in Colorado, a lot of the bike trails are, paid and maintained by gambling money, the money they make off tickets that people buy, lottery, that stuff. So in Colorado, it was never a big thing to hear about this. But to send an agent up there to make sure someone has a hunting or fishing license, first off, as runners, I don't think most of us even carry our wallet. I know I don't, let alone going to be carrying a hunting license or a fishing license piece of paper. How much are we paying that person to stand up there and check people? How much did it cost for all the signage? I understand money needs to come from somewhere, but it sounds like there's some better ways, some better opportunities to do that. And once again, bikers, hikers, and trail runners are not taking from the grounds. Growing up in Utah, I did a lot of hunting and fishing, and one of my big things that I took away as growing up is did a lot of fishing, and I got my license checked quite a bit, by agents, and they'd come up and ask for my license, give it to them, then they'd say, "Oh, we've been watching you back there with binoculars for 20 minutes or something." Then they want to go down to what's in your tackle box. Cool, look through it. Then it becomes harassment sometimes. Me and my friends got harassed to the point where after they left, we just packed up and left. They were fishing for something else, drugs, alcohol, tobacco, whatever it may be, to write a ticket. And that's really sad. I don't want to be out on the trails running and run into someone that's just standing there waiting to see a license. A lot of times I go out into these areas to not be seen, to not to deal with anything. And I think that will take away from some of these areas where they're out there. It may push people in other areas. Some people may be okay with it, not a big deal. But I think there's some better options we can go with here. And my other point too is, here in South Dakota, we have the Mickelson Trail. It's a Rails to Trails. It is, 100 something miles long, and it's a state park. It's ran by the state park. Daily pass is $5 per person. Annual pass is $20. Not a big deal. But the trailheads, they offer bathrooms and running water and stuff to fix your bikes. You know, and that is fine. That those trails get accessed by a lot of different people, from people on their bikes to people just going out for a walk, people out bird watching, you name it, to trail running, all that stuff. So $5, $20, no one's going to question that. And for what you get from that, you get a maintained trail, you get a clean bathroom, you get running water, you get some tools to fix your bike if you need to fix your bike. That takes me to other state parks where we all know when we go through the state park, we're going to have to pay. We go through the state park, they offer bathrooms, whatever facilities, picnic tables, maintained trails, water, and so on. And then if you want to fish in a state park, you then have to have your fishing license also, which is, another fee for that area to be maintained, um, for them to watch the population of fish, to plant the fish, any of that kind of stuff. All fine. Some state parks, you can walk or ride your bike in and they don't charge you. I know some state parks, even if you walk or you ride your bike in, they charge you. I think most of us are good with that. Not a big deal there. We'll pay our money and go through. Here's where, for me, it gets a little iffy. Where the wilderness area here in South Dakota, Black Elk Wilderness Area, the main way most people enter those trailheads is through Sylvan Park, which is a state park. So they pay their fee or have their annual pass. They park at the trailhead. Go. A lot of those trailheads have bathrooms, more touristy thing. All right. Not a big deal. Other ways to access the Black Elk Wilderness is at other trailheads. They still offer facilities. Some of them do, some of them don't. You don't have to pay for parking. You just pull up. You may find one or two cars there, and you take the trail and you get up in the Black Wilderness area. Most of the places you access it, you're in national forest. So you go national forest, then into wilderness area. My thing with those are in springtime here, there is lots of blown down trees. I don't mind. Not a big deal to me. But if you're going to charge me to run on those trails with some kind of membership or annual pass, whatever it may be, I want those trails maintained. I want those trails cleaned on a weekly basis. So then you're going to have to dedicate someone to be up there and check those trails. That's that side of it. For me, I don't really like to go on maintained trails. I'm more of the person that wants to get out in the middle of nowhere and not see a soul. I don't need a trailhead. I don't need facilities. All I need is somewhere park the car, even if that's on the side of the road or whatever. Luckily here in the Black Hills, we have tons of access, tons of dirt roads. It's not that big of a deal. Other states, Utah and Colorado, you get up to trailheads 4:00 in the morning, the parking lot's full. Sometimes there's a line of cars a mile down the road. So that means you got to park on the side of the road, get on the road, and go whatever distance just to get to the trailhead to get up there. That's where some of an issue will come into me, because if they want to make you pay, then someone needs to be up there maintaining the parking and only allowing so many people to access that, whatever the parking lot can hold. In Fort Collins, Lowry State Park does a wonderful job at this. Once the parking lot's full, no more cars coming in. Sorry, lot's full. They have other parking lots you may go park in. They may not be where you want to start your hike or your run or your mountain bike, but hey, that's what it is. They're very good at code enforcement with allowing so many cars in the parking lot, which also makes the trails, the volume of people on there is what it can pretty much sustain. Yeah, if the whole lot's full of 18 passenger vans and 18 passengers in each one of those vans, we got a problem. But you can kind of see where I'm going with this. I don't want to see our public land, being taken away from us. There's already been enough up in arms about stuff. Hunters and fishermen do pay and foot a lot of the bill for outdoor activities, but also do state parks. They maintain their part. We pay taxes. We pay federal taxes. If they need to manage the money better, they need to manage the money better. It's not my job. I shouldn't, or we shouldn't be the people that are getting the raw end of the deal because they can't manage their money. I get it. Government's here to make money. States are here to make money. I understand that. We'll never get away from that. But what they can do is manage their money correctly. And if they want to come up with some way and charge people, $15 a year to run on the trails out of their city, whatever, come together as a state, that's where it gets muddy too, is all these different agencies, National Forest, BLM, state. Where does that go to? Is it one big pool? I don't have the answers for that, but that's where we need to talk about it. We need to come together as a community and talk about this. We're seeing more and more land taken away from us for houses, for businesses. And the people that use it are the ones that are getting it, the brunt of it. The people that don't use it, that it doesn't affect them, which we know nowadays that most people, don't get out a lot. A lot of the kids are glued to their phones, to their screens. They're not getting outside. But in some of these areas, Colorado and Utah, there's a lot of people out on the trails. A lot of people move from other states, and they're using the mountains. Here in South Dakota, we have less than 1 million people, and out of that population, I don't know how many people use the trails. I don't know what percentage of that. It's very slim. I can go out any day of the week and get on a trail and be all by myself. I can get out and be the only car parked at the trailhead or where you park. A lot of places in Wyoming, same way. The bigger areas, the Tetons, and what's the other one? Anyways, they have lots of people, so they're destinations for people to go to and hike, backpack, any of those other things. And if you're native to that, you're probably going to stay away from there. I can get up in the bighorns and get on trails and not see people. Bighorns are pretty vast, so we need to have an open and honest conversation with our lawmakers, people that want to make money off this. I want to know what their expectations are from my money. As an out-of-stater, if I go into Utah, do I have to buy a hunting license or a fishing license? Do I have to buy a 7-day fishing license to go run on their trails in certain areas? Good question. Hasn't been talked about. Did Utah go and let people know and educate people on this? From what I've read and heard, it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like they put it in effect and boom, here you go. Deal with it. I don't know if they're giving tickets. It sounds like they're still giving warnings. Now there's a lot of pushback, so now there sounds like there's some other stuff going on. But how did we get there? How did they get there? it really feels like they blindsided the people that use the trails. I know from, you know, the people I hang around with, other race directors I know, we're out there, and when we're out there and on a run hike, we're cleaning up trash that we find on the ground. A lot of race directors, they go out and help with trail maintenance. Um, John with Human Potential Race Series goes out to Fair Play. They've built trails out there. They've got with Fair Play and built trails out there. That's what we need. We need the community to come together, work with these cities, and get them to understand that these are our lands too. They're public land for a reason. If we don't, they're going to get taken away from us. And I don't want to see that happen. Um, it it comes down to, once again, money. How can we help as people that use the trails with the money they need? Where is that money going? Where is my $20 I pay you yearly to run on the trails going? If it's not going to maintain the trails, the trailheads, the facilities, then we need to have an honest conversation, because that's about all I'm using. To bring in, more agents to go and count animals, or to go out there and catch people doing stuff that they're not supposed to be doing. I don't want my money going to that. I do not want my money going to that. That's my opinion. That's my take on that. Am I willing to pay some of my hard-earned money to help? Yes. But it goes down to, show me the spreadsheet with all the checks and balances of where my $20 is going. I don't want to be giving money to an entity for them to make money, especially in this day and age. Uh, the economy is what it is. Groceries are expensive, but I know pretty much every trail runner is willing to give some money to continue doing what they love. And the next part of that goes to, how do we honor that? Great question. I have no answers. My answer, though, for one part of it is, I don't want someone standing on the side of the trail going, do you have your membership or your license? Stopping me from doing what I love. We get enough of that in our day-to-day lives in the city. A lot of us go up there to escape. We don't need to have another person watching us and telling us what to do, how to act. For the most part, trail runners, mountain bikers, hikers, people that get out and use the trails are some of the best people I've been around. We take care of what we need to take care of. If they think that this is going to get the riffraff out of there, they got another thing coming. That's just, they're not going to care. The riffraff's not going to care if they're going to go up there and get on the trail and do what they want. They're still going to do it. It's not going to stop them. A hunting and fishing license is not going to stop them from going up there and causing damage or leaving litter. But you know who will come by and pick up that litter? Probably the people out there using it. Probably not the DNR guy or girl up there. State park, totally different story. I've seen enough state park employees out there cleaning up trash off the trail. Perfect. That's where our money's going. I don't want to see us get taxed to do the stuff we enjoy for a division to make more money. And we don't get anything back out of that. Besides, what I've seen in my life is being harassed. And I would love to hear your guys' take on this, guys and gals' take, because this is just my opinion. I know there's a lot of other opinions out there, and we need to talk about it. And There isn't one right way to do this. It's going to take all of us to come together, and it may hurt. It may hurt. It may get uncomfortable having these conversations with these people to understand that, yes, we're willing to pay, but here's our list of stuff that you need to do and what is expected from us after that. Uh, you know, there is plenty of trails here in South Dakota that have counters on them, wooden box with little counters on them. They're ugly. I don't like to see them. Just not cool. Hooked to a tree. I see them. Other people see them. I know you want to get numbers on how many people are using that trail. I don't see anything going back into that trail. I don't see any maintenance going into that trail. So why spend the money to put it there? Just my opinion, my take on it. We need to get back to being simple, letting people use the land as they want. You know, my great grandfather lived in Alpine, Utah, and used to walk to Salt Lake once a week to sell us hay. Walk on a trail. That trail wasn't for recreation. That trail wasn't to go out there and look at the views of the mountains. He used that trail to go make money. That was his livelihood. That's how he supported his family, by walking on this trail. And that trail is probably still somewhere. You probably see remnants to this day, which I think there's history there. We can't take that history away. Same with the Oregon Trail. You know, there's a place here in Wyoming where you can see where the wagon wheels carved into the sandstone. That's part of history. We can't take that away. That's how we got here. We've been using trails forever. We'll continue to use trails for whatever. Now we're using them with law for recreation. You know, and I know a lot of hunters. When I hunted, I didn't use trails. I parked the car and bushwalked up the side of the mountain. I didn't use facilities. I'm going up the side of the mountain to find my game that I'm trying to hunt, to put food on the table. You know, that was a hobby. That was time for me to get away from the city. You know, fishermen, they may park in a parking lot. If they're at a lake, then walk somewhere. Or if they're on a river, they just might park somewhere, then walk in on the river. You know, there's no facilities there either, and they're paying for the conservation of the fish or the game. So, once again, in the end, hunting and fishing licenses, you're getting something for when you buy that license. And it comes back, you know, as food, clothing, stories, other stuff that goes along with that. If I got to buy a hunting or fishing license to go run on the trails, I'll get stories, I'll get fitness, but it's all stuff that's in my head, all stuff that I can talk about. I'm not taking anything physically back with me. So that's where I have the problem with the hunting license or fishing license. Give us something different. You know, this really isn't a huge problem for me. I do spend some time in Utah. Still have family in Utah. Will I run those trails? I probably won't run those trails until they change their way of doing things. Does that bother me? No, not really, because that means I'm just not giving them money for what they need. It's a two-way street. So, Mill Creek Canyon, when I started going up Mill Creek Canyon mountain biking, you know, back in the 90s, you paid on your way out and it was 50 cents. 50 cents, 2 quarters. You know, beautiful canyon, maintained, bathrooms, picnic areas, you name it. Always pristine. For 50 cents. I don't know what the cost is now. I'm sure it's more than that. Maybe, you know, you people that hang out in Mill Creek a lot know that price and can put it in the comments. I never had a problem with that. still, when I was up there over Christmas time, no problem paying. Get to park, get to be right there on the trails, bathrooms, you know, no problem. Maintain trails. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think here. Uh, I want to have an honest conversation about this and where we're going to go. I don't. I don't want to see any more of our land being taken away from us to use for a fee. Like I said, if there is a fee and those fees meet the expectations that I see those fees are fit, I have no problem. No problem at all. If I don't see that, I will not, use those trails, which is fine. There might be some other people that feel the same way, and there might be some people like, hey, this is right on my back door. I'm just going to buy a fishing license. Fine. We live in the United States. We're free to make our own choices and do as we wish. So, yeah, that's about all I got on this topic. And Jeff gave me this cool hat with the owl eyes on it. So, thank you, Jeff. Last week podcast episode with Jeff, Runs with Owls. Go check it out if you haven't heard it. Great story. Fun time. We will see you on the trails.